and it's their intrinsic
Now,
nature.
this food basically robs you.
Sound, visual, sound like. Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, I really want to get into the history that we have been taught, over the years. Recently, we can honestly say, within our lifetime, since we've been going to elementary school, people who are in my age bracket, for that matter, anybody who's over 30, we know what the history books said in school. We know that we didn't hear a lot about our real history as far as African people. So the thing is, will they change the history books? Now, the thing that you have to consider is this. We know that they hide a lot of history. We know that at one point in school, they did teach a little of African American history as far as the African Americans who played roles in the American Revolution and things like that. So recently, and I shouldn't even say recently, we know for years they have been uncovering and discovering the facts, the accomplishments of African people, African American people as well. And the history books have not changed to reflect the findings of many prominent people. So you have a lot of scholars, you have a lot of PhDs, a lot of people in Europe, as well as here in the Americas who have discovered unbelievable things about African history, and yet the curriculum is not reflecting that, and is basically causing the misconception that still exists among European Americans and Europeans alike, and for really everybody, black people as well, African Americans as well. So the thing is, since African Americans and America is not taught about the kingdoms that existed in Africa, the accomplishments of the ancient Egyptians and the fact that they were in fact Africans, and this has been proven time and time again, but we still have this debate of what color was the Egyptians, and people are trying to claim who they are when there's no debate. It's a fact when you go to Kemet that they were clearly African, and they describe themselves as Africans in the tomb of Seti I and the tomb of Ramses III. So we don't even have to really get into that. Yes, in fact, there were white citizens in ancient Kemet. This is a fact. We know once the Ptolemaic era came into existence that there were Greeks. But a lot of people have to realize that the Greeks and the ancient Egyptians did live together for a while before the Persians invaded Egypt. So, there are things about history that are not being taught. And this is leading to a lot of misconceptions and errors among a lot of people. So the thing is, it seems as if the powers that be wants to sort of cover up the past, of course, as you can imagine. So, when you look at the fact that we see a lot on television about Hitler, I mean, you can't turn up and down the TV stations without seeing something that has to do with Hitler and the Nazis and that whole era. So this is promoted a lot on television, and we're talking about something very unbelievably terrible that happened to a group of people, that happened to the Jews. The Holocaust was unbelievable. Everybody has seen what took place during that time. The thing is, this history is not hidden. It is a very uncomfortable piece of history, but it's promoted so much as to show the Germans in a negative light. You go to Germany now, there's no trace of that. There's no trace of Hitler and everything that took place during that time. They want you to come to Germany and believe that, hey, all that crazy shit that happened in the 40s, yeah, that wasn't us. And we know that the Germans around that time, many of them, how they felt about Hitler and the whole ideology that goes along with that. So, it's hard for a lot of people to believe that just went away, because Hitler went away, and it just seemed like, okay, Hitler's gone, let's act right, let's try to fit in with everybody else and try to get people to forget what took place, but that history is not hidden. It is shown. Hitler is promoted. So that's a constant reminder for Jewish people that we have to constantly keep seeing this Hitler, this whole Nazi aspect. I mean, if you look at Family Guy, a lot of times they dive into the whole Hitler thing. So, Jews have to see this. Now, yes, us, again, African Americans, we have to see, what took place as far as slavery. There's a lot of slave movies coming out talking about slavery and what happened during slavery, everything like that. The whole Nat Turner insurrection, that movie came out. We know 12 Years a Slave, Roots. But, we are not seeing movies about the accomplishments of African people, the kingdoms and things like that. They are not showing movies to show, what we did before slavery. And this is like, something that we just constantly keep asking for and not getting. Now, of course, and if you ever seen Schindler's List, in Schindler's List, they showed the fact that the Jews, before Hitler took over, they were successful. They had PhDs. They was rich. They were living really good before Hitler came and destroyed everything. And it showed their success. So it's not that the Jews have to, defend their existence before, the whole Nazi war and everything. It's documented. It's shown who they was and the success that they had. We're not afforded the same luxury. We're not afforded the same teachings to the people as far as African history. So the whole question is, and believe it or not, this is up for debate. And there are a lot of people who are pushing to have the history books changed in America to reflect true history and the history that has been shown. The African Americans were not only here in the Americas first, but are the original royal family. We're talking about before any European monarchy or kingdom came into existence. You had African kingdoms. You had pharaohs, the Nisut, before any of that came into existence, which shows clearly that they copied. So there's a huge working, and I'm going to get this information out as soon as I get more information on it. But it's a lot of people who are fighting to get the history books changed to reflect the true history of African Americans. So this generation, they're going to be ignorant if they want to, but so the next generation, this generation coming up, can see the truth and facts about African people, and we can kind of bridge this gap between ignorance and reality, between ignorance and truth, so people can see the real accomplishments of African people and not look at us as, slaves that ended up in a country full of people who don't want them, but to show the fact that we were here first and we became slaves on our own land. So this is something that is being highly debated, and hopefully we see something huge as far as the history books being changed. So now this raises a very interesting question when you dig into this whole thing. This is about the whole, spoils of war. What does it mean to conquer a people? Are the conquerors obligated to speak the real truth about the conquered? And this is the thing we always say, history is written by the conquerors, not the conquered. And the thing is this, America is portrayed as this beautiful country, bring me your sick and poor, and, America full of immigrants and things of that nature. And we have to realize that America, the powers that be don't want to show themselves in this light as conquerors. But this is also something that Europeans have to make a choice on. How do you want to be seen and viewed? How do you want as a race, as a people, to be seen? Are you going to let a select few decide how the future sees your race? And the thing is, when you dig into that, what you see is the conquest by Europeans over, every people of color, on the planet. And this is something that we see. It's just something that you cannot hide. So the thing is, are the Europeans, are they simply saying, you know what, we conquered you motherfuckers, get over it, this is our land, we letting you live here, we letting you stay here, we really can just kill you all, we took over, this is our shit, we don't have to explain shit, we're going to make history the way we want it, we're going to tell our side of the story, we're not going to show what you did, who cares, we took over, it's ours, get over it. And believe it or not, I have argued with many KKK members, many white supremacists and racists about this same fact. And they have said the same thing. Get over it. We took y'all shit. Get over it. And that's basically right when you get down to it, what we are seeing. Now, they can sit there and say, we took y'all shit. Get over it. But You can't say that and then try to put on this front to the world as if you are good people, and we care about other countries and what happens to them. So we're going to go invade the country and defeat the terrible, bad people to help these people in this far country. You can't say, fuck it, it's conquest and get over it when your slogan is, save the world and everything like that. So either, you're going to tell the truth about the history and what happened, or you're trying to hide it and cover it up for what reason. And this is what I get into in my videos. Everybody know who watches me. I get into the true history and why they want to cover up everything and what they are truly hiding. And when you really dig into it and see what they're hiding, then you see that everything that they have, the foundation that they stand on, they stole. And this is something that the history books must reflect. And not just that, people need to understand and know and stop looking at black people, African people, as being just this poor, sick group of people who don't get it, who had no sophistication, no accomplishments, who didn't build or do anything in history. This is ludicrous, and people need to spread the truth and the information that who we really are and our true accomplishments, and the simple fact that our real accomplishments have been taken from us and have been passed off as European accomplishments. And this is the facts. And will the history books reflect this in the future? And this is something that we must make happen as a people. We must understand this truth, learn it. This is why I do what I do. This is why I try to put the truth out as much as possible, for people to really know what took place and to understand the true history of African people. Now, the crazy part is we have books. We have plenty of books. So many scholars, black, white, Latino, Asian, European, it doesn't matter. So many scholars have written books on the truth, and that's a fact. So we can't just say, we need to write more books, or we need to put out more books and stuff like that. It doesn't matter if the books are not being taught. I mean, just think now. I mean, when I was in school, even when I was in college, I had no clue that the books that I've been reading over the last 12 years, 15 years almost, I had no clue that these books existed and said the things that they say, because you have in your mind this whole ideal of what America is, or what the world is, and then you read books and they completely change all that, and it makes you question, what is America? It makes you question, what's going on, what's up, which basically led me on my whole journey of, discovery and trying to find out the truth about everything. Because when you start reading books that's talking about, the government and this whole system and structure and these people that existed that were wiped out and, kingdoms and stuff like that, the question is why. I talk about why, of course, in my series. So the thing is, the people, the children must understand this, especially our young black kids, especially young white kids, because when we all grow up, when they grow up, they're going to need to know the true history, so one doesn't look at the other, in a certain light. And this is the problem that we have been seeing, because white kids are taught certain things, and they are taught basically, everything that's going to make the European look like the greatest race of people on the face of the earth that ever existed. And this is how a lot of people just feel. They just feel like, Europeans, we go save people and we do this and we do that, and they don't look at the real history. I was arguing with a white guy who was talking about how Europeans, white people are the only ones, white people have the Peace Corps, we have PETA and Save the Whales, and black people don't do shit. They're not trying to save this planet. White people are always trying to save the planet, this and that, and we don't see other races participating. And the thing is, you guys have destroyed the planet. That's why it's you who are saving it. And not to say it in that way, but it's the truth, factually. We don't just say shit to try to sound, anti-white or so-called racist. It's the truth. And when you go and search the facts, this is what you'll find out. And the thing is, yeah, of course, you guys should be out there rescuing and saving, and because you guys destroy shit. And it's just the history of your people. And the thing is, what the bottom line is that a history that you are comfortable with? And I ask a lot of people, white people who send me messages, who some of them come out and say that. They say, I'm not comfortable with that history. I want to be a part of that history. I don't want to be a part of the history that wiped out races of people, that enslaved races of people, that killed and murdered all across this world. I don't want to accept that history as a European, as a white person, and some people do not. And this is the trick. Because, you get so many white people who jump on board as, yeah, we're the master race and, white people rule the world. And they don't understand what they are accepting. So again, you can't 1 minute be talking about saving something, saving a group of people or saving animals, and then the next minute jump on a whole bandwagon saying, white people, yes, we rule the world, get over it. We conquered, we took over, we are the dominant race. You have to pick or choose. Either you're going to be a racist, either you're going to stick up and defend and support this whole racist, dominating, destructive group of people who is basically leading your race, or you're going to, go to the side of truth, the right side, right and wrong, basically what it comes down to. And a lot of people are accepting the wrong side, not understanding what that means. So yes, there are still a lot of white people who are pissed off about Trump, about that whole thing. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of white people who are saying, you know what, he's a white guy, I'm white, everything's fine, everything's going to be okay for me. But you have people of color who are in fear right now. They are, it's like knowing when your dad come home and you're going to get that ass whipping. When your mom come home and you're going to get that ass whipping, everybody's like, oh my God, what is going to happen when Trump get in the White House? It's just like an uncomfortable feeling for a lot of people. And it's a lot of people really actually trying to leave the country, actually thinking about moving out, the ones who can afford to. But a lot of people who have, accepted Trump as president, they are basically saying, I'm white, this is America, we run this thing, everything's going to be fine, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. There's a sense of comfortability that you can have in this country being white, and we all know that's a fact. And we have been far too uncomfortable in the country that is originally ours. And it's a shame that we have to feel like that in this country that is ours. So that comfortability comes along with a sense of ignorance and a pride and a sense of ignorance that a lot of Europeans have, a lot of white people have here, feeling like this is their country. The simple fact that white people say to black people, if you don't like this country, then leave. That tells you right there that there's a sense of ownership of America that they feel that they have. This is our country. This is us. This is ours. We own it. If you don't like it, get out of here. So this shows you that they feel on the inside that this is their country, that they own it. Understanding or not understanding everything that comes along with that. Because if you're saying get out of my country, then you are going along with the whole feeling and notion of, we conquered this shit. It's ours. Get the fuck out of here. We killed a bunch of people and we took their shit and this is ours. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here.